One of the crazy things about embracing Agile, adopting Agile, is you are going to hit challenges. And the stupid thing is, or the most challenging aspect of this means that Agile's working. And it's a hard thing to understand, right? Because all of these Agile frameworks don't resolve the problems. The human system or the people around the system will resolve the problem. What you will do as soon as you start iterating and working at a shorter cycle time, your organizational challenges will become very, very visible. So you have got two choices. You either pony up and solve the impediment, or you start breaking frameworks and people going, oh, well, nothing really changes here. And this is a hearts and minds thing. If your organization is big enough, there'll be so many fads that have blown through your organization about process control. And, 5 years ago, we're doing lean. 5 years before that, we're doing classic predictive. And then we're doing this, then we're doing that. If you don't anchor yourself principles, values, and then have a mechanism and an approach of making your impediments visible and then dealing with them, you're going to come unstuck super quickly. So what are the typical challenges that organizations hit? Depending upon the size of your organization, vocabulary. I know this might sound trivial, but having everybody aligned on a common lexicon is so important. And if you're in a really large organization, you're going to have a lot of agile coaches, scrum masters, whatever. I've worked in a number of places where they brought in agile coaches from consultancies and they hadn't even read the Scrum Guide. It's going to be hard for them to coach Scrum, or there will be dissonance between them coaching Scrum and somebody who has read the Scrum Guide coaching Scrum, because the language they'll use will be different. So first of all, set yourself up and have a vocabulary guide, like have a lexicon, have a standard. Like this is the version, the language that we're going to use in our organization. The second thing, I've mentioned the impediments, so that then ties into leadership. Do your leadership understand what's going on? And so this is the buy-in. People need to know that their job's safe, but their role's going to change. And in the situations where their job isn't safe, like, people aren't stupid. You need to say, look, there will be rounds of redundancies with this. Trying to hide or pretend that this is not going to impact people's livelihoods is not going to help. And so what's your strategy? And this is where, if you have a structured process, saying like, look, this is the way it's going. We're going in this direction. You're either on the bus or off the bus. If you're getting off the bus, you've got 1 year and we'll spend X amount on retraining, but that's it. There's your cycle out phase. But you have to come on the bus. That is more honest than saying, oh no, there's not going to be any changes or job losses, etc. So having that integrity with your people, including them in the change, is super important. And then day-to-day challenges. Like, don't expect the same volume of work to be done while people are changing the way they do their work. Change is work. There's going to be a cognitive load of finding out how this new process works, figuring out the mechanics of it, resolving issues, finding the structures and practices that are working for the team. So there's going to be a dip in throughput as people adjust to this new way of working. And if you're not patient and chop and change, people will never be able to stabilize and assimilate that. You'll also create an environment of fear and tension because they know they're not delivering as much. And so you have to bound your experiment in a certain timeline to give people the comfort to actually learn stuff and figure new ways of doing things. The heart of this is that nobody does Agile for the sake of doing Agile. Agile is a tool for learning, regardless of whether you use Scrum, Kanban, or whatever. And then focusing on the customer value is the key thing. And the big hornet's nest you're going to kick is scaling. And then you're going to get into the framework wars. And here's the big news. I don't care what framework you start with, whether it's LESS, Nexus, Scrum at Scale, or the big one that everyone loves to have a kick at, SAFe. doesn't really matter where you start. You're going to have to tweak those frameworks to suit your organization. So pick a starting point and iterate on it. Because if you say stuck in a particular framework, then you're missing the point. The frameworks aren't the end point, they're a tool to get there. And that's why my personal opinion is to start with the lightest framework possible. And that makes it easy to iterate and grow and adapt because it's based on principles and will help your organization emerge practices, techniques, events to help focus on the value delivery as opposed to holding events or meetings or structures that suit the framework. And really what we're looking for is a rise in bottom-up intelligence, an empowerment and connection of people to value delivery. How are you going to do that if you don't trust your people and put in lines of communication for that to work?